Welcome back to the Speak Smart podcast. You know we love to help you level up your English skills.
And what better way to do that than by tackling something that can be a little bit intimidating for English learners?
Yeah, like job interviews. And to do that, we're diving deep into this YouTube video you guys sent us. Learn English fast and easily with podcasts, Conversation, episode 33.
From Effortless English Zone.
It's a great video with tons of useful advice. But let's be honest.
It's long.
Yeah. So we're breaking it down for you. We'll pull out the most important tips and strategies, especially for those of you at an intermediate or elementary level of English.
You know what really struck me about this video?
What's that?
It emphasizes that getting ready for an interview, it actually starts way before you even step into the interview room, or even before you pick up the phone.
So true. It's all about laying that groundwork, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things this video recommends we do to prep for an interview?
Well, research is crucial.
Really?
Knowing about the company and the specific job you're applying for.
Oh, I see.
It really shows you're genuinely interested, and it also helps you tailor your answers to what they're looking for, not just what you want to say.
It's like, if you're going to a friend's party, you probably want to know a little bit about who else is going to be there.
Right.
So you have something to talk about.
Right.
This video even suggests practicing your answers in front of a mirror.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever done that?
I have. It might sound a little silly,
Okay.
but it's a classic technique for a reason. You become so much more aware of how you look and sound when you can actually see yourself.
I can see that.
Plus, just hearing yourself say the words out loud can help them sound more natural and confident when you're actually in the interview.
Yeah, like giving yourself a little pep talk in the mirror.
Exactly.
The video also talks about doing mock interviews with a friend or a family member.
Yeah, it's one thing to practice by yourself, but having someone else ask you the questions, especially someone you trust, to give you honest feedback, that can really help you get comfortable with the back and forth of a real interview.
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect, as they say.
Right.
Let's get to the heart of the interview, though.
Okay.
The questions. This video covers a bunch of common ones, like tell me about yourself.
Right.
Why do you want this job?
Yes.
And, of course, the one we all dread. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Oh, that's a tough one.
The strengths and weaknesses question. How do we answer that one without making ourselves sound terrible?
Well, the video gives some good advice. It's all about being honest
Okay.
and framing things in a way that shows you're self-aware and that you're always trying to improve.
I see.
So, for example, like instead of saying I'm bad at public speaking, you could say something like, I get a little nervous speaking in front of large groups, so I've been taking a public speaking class to build my confidence.
That's a really good example.
Yeah.
You're acknowledging the weakness, but you're also showing that you're taking steps to overcome it.
Exactly.
Very clever. Now, for those behavioral questions, the ones that start with, tell me about a time when, the video introduces this thing called the STAR method.
Yes, the STAR method.
It's supposed to be a great way to structure your answers. What is the STAR method?
STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result.
Oh, okay.
It basically helps you tell a story that highlights your skills and experience.
I like stories.
So you start by describing the situation, like setting the scene. Then you explain the task you had to complete.
Okay.
Next, you talk about the specific actions you took.
Uh-huh.
And finally, you share the result, how things turned out because of what you did.
So it's like writing a mini success story.
Exactly.
And the video actually gives a really clear example of how to use the STAR method to answer a question about a difficult teammate.
Right.
It shows how you can use this method to demonstrate your problem-solving skills and your people skills, which are so important.
Yeah, it's super helpful to have a framework like that, especially when you're feeling nervous.
Totally. Now, besides what you say in an interview, the video also talks about the importance of body language.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Right. Actions speak louder than words.
They do. And this video actually goes into detail about the key elements of body language. Things like posture, eye contact, your handshake, even how you hold your resume.
Right.
There's even this interesting tip about smiling while you're on a phone interview.
Oh, yeah.
Smiling during a phone interview, but they can't even see you.
I know, it sounds strange.
Yeah.
But the video explains that smiling actually changes your tone of voice, making you sound more positive and engaging. It's like your voice is reflecting the smile you're making, even if they can't see it.
Fascinating. I never thought about that before. So it's like, even though it's over the phone, you still want to make a good first impression with your voice.
Exactly. And you want to adapt your approach for different types of interviews. Phone, video, and in person, each one has its own unique challenges.
It's like having different tools in your toolbox.
Yeah,
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb.
exactly.
So for phone interviews, it's important to focus on speaking clearly, minimizing distractions. For video interviews, you need to pay attention to your background and make eye contact with the camera.
Yes.
And for in-person interviews, it's all about dressing professionally, planning your journey, being ready for some small talk.
Right. You want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward, no matter what type of interview it is.
Now, I know a lot of people get nervous about those really tricky or unexpected questions that interviewers sometimes throw your way. You know, the ones that make you go, wait, what?
Oh, you mean the curveball questions?
Exactly.
Like, if you were an animal, which one would you be and why?
Exactly. Those are the ones that can really throw you off your game. But the good news is, this video has some great advice on how to handle them.
It does. Those curveball questions, they really can feel like a pop quiz, huh?
Yeah, they do. And it made me realize as we were talking about those, that the video gives some really good advice on just staying calm and collected.
Absolutely. Like anything else, the more you practice and prepare, the more confident you'll feel when those unexpected moments pop up.
Speaking of practice, I think it would be helpful to go through some more of those common interview questions and maybe even, try answering them together. Like, how do you even begin to answer that classic opener, tell me about yourself?
Oh, that one. It sounds so simple.
It does.
But it can be surprisingly tricky, especially when you're trying to condense your whole professional life into just a couple of sentences.
Yeah, it's like trying to fit all your favorite clothes into a tiny suitcase.
Right. But remember, they're not asking for your autobiography. They want a snapshot of who you are professionally, your skills, your experience, and what makes you a good fit for this particular job.
So it's really about tailoring your answer to the specific role that you're applying for.
Absolutely. So let's say you're applying for a marketing position. Instead of just listing every job you've ever had, you could say something like, I'm a creative marketer with a passion for storytelling. I've spent the last 5 years developing engaging content for social media and building strong relationships with online communities.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds so much more interesting than just saying I was a cashier at McDonald's and then I was this and I was that. It's a picture.
It does. It paints a picture of who you are and what you're passionate about. And then that sets the stage for the next logical question.
Which is?
Why do you want to work here?
The why us question.
Right.
It always feels like a bit of a test, like they're trying to see if you've done your homework.
It is a test, in a way, but it's also a chance for you to show that you're not just looking for any job.
Yeah.
You're genuinely interested in this company and what they do.
So how do we avoid sounding like we're just reciting something that we, memorized from their website?
The key is to connect your own skills and aspirations to what the company stands for. So let's say you're applying to a company known for its innovative work in sustainable technology. You could say something like, I've always been fascinated by how technology can be used to create a more sustainable future. Your company's commitment to developing eco-friendly solutions is truly inspiring, and I believe my skills in mention a relevant skill would allow me to contribute to your mission in a meaningful way.
Oh, I like that. You've shown that you understand their values and how your own goals align with what they're trying to do.
Exactly. It's about finding that common ground.
I see.
Showing that you're not just looking for a paycheck, you're looking for a chance to be part of something you believe in.
All right, let's move on to the dreaded strengths and weaknesses question.
Oh, yes.
It always feels like you're walking this tightrope. You want to highlight your strengths without sounding arrogant. You also have to admit to weaknesses without making yourself sound totally incompetent.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
But remember, everyone has weaknesses.
True.
What the interviewer is really looking for is self-awareness
Okay.
and a willingness to learn and grow.
So how do we choose a weakness that doesn't make us sound completely unqualified for the job?
I think about a skill that's not absolutely essential for this particular role, but that you're actively working to improve. For example, you could say, sometimes I get so focused on the details that I can lose sight of the bigger picture. To address this, I've been practicing techniques to prioritize tasks and break down large projects into smaller, manageable steps.
That's a great way to frame it.
Right.
You're acknowledging a weakness, but you're also showing that you're proactive and you're taking steps to get better.
Exactly. It turns a potential negative into a positive.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's talk about those behavioral questions. The ones that start with, tell me about a time when, Those always make me feel like I have to come up with a story on the spot.
I know what you mean. But remember, these questions are your opportunity to showcase your experience and skills through real-life examples. And the STAR method we talked about earlier can really help you structure those answers.
Okay, let's walk through an example. What if they ask, tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult teammate?
Okay, so first, set the situation. You could say, in my previous role as a project manager, I was leading a team tasked with launching a new product line. That sets the scene.
Okay, got it. Now for the task. My responsibility was to ensure the project stayed on schedule and that everyone on the team contributed effectively.
Perfect. You've clarified your role in the challenge. Now for the action. One team member was consistently missing deadlines and not communicating effectively with the rest of the group. So I decided to have a one-on-one meeting with them to understand what was going on.
You're not just complaining about the teammate. You're showing you took steps to address the problem.
Exactly. And then, to wrap up with the result, you could say, during the meeting, we discovered there were some misunderstandings about the project timeline and their specific responsibilities. We were able to clarify those issues, and from that point on, their communication and contributions to the project significantly improved. We ended up launching the product on time and exceeding our sales targets.
The STAR method really helps tie everything together into a concise and impactful story.
It does.
All right, let's tackle another common question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow.
That's what always feels a bit daunting.
It does.
Especially if you don't have a crystal ball.
No one expects you to predict the future with perfect accuracy. What they're really looking for is whether you've thought about your career path, if you have ambition,
okay,
and if your goals align with the company's vision.
So how do we answer that without sounding like we're either aimlessly drifting or overpromising things we can't deliver?
Be honest, but also aspirational. You could say something like, in 5 years, I hope to have gained valuable experience and mention a specific area related to the job and to have developed my leadership skills. I'm excited about the opportunities for professional growth that your company offers, and I see myself making a significant contribution to the team's success.
I like that. You're showing ambition,
yeah,
but also aligning your goals with, what they could potentially offer you.
Right. It's about demonstrating that you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career path where you can grow and contribute.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to discuss.
I know, right?
I'm thinking about those curveball questions we mentioned earlier, the ones that really throw you off balance.
Those are definitely a challenge, but they can also be an opportunity to showcase your creativity and quick thinking. We'll explore those in part 3 of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the Speak Smart podcast. We're ready to tackle those tricky curveball questions that can really throw you off in a job interview.
It's like the interviewer suddenly throws you a riddle instead of a regular question.
Right. But they actually serve a purpose, right?
Absolutely. They're not just trying to trick you. They're trying to see how you think on your feet, how you handle pressure, and how creative you can be.
And remember that example we talked about earlier from the video, the one about if you were an animal, what would you be and why? It sounds so random,
right?
But it's actually a clever way to get you to reveal something about yourself.
Exactly.
It's a bit like those personality quizzes you see online.
Uh-huh.
They seem kind of silly on the surface, but they can actually give you some interesting insights.
They can. And for interview questions like that, it's all about making the right connection, right? Between the animal you choose and the qualities that would make you successful in the job.
So, for example, if you're applying for a job that requires a lot of teamwork and collaboration, you could say, I'd be a bee, because bees work together in a highly organized and efficient way to achieve a common goal.
That's a perfect example. You took a seemingly random question and turned it into an opportunity to highlight your teamwork skills.
Now, what about those questions that ask about a time you failed or made a mistake? Those always feel a bit like a trap to me.
I know what you mean. No one wants to talk about their failures in an interview. But you have to remember, everyone makes mistakes. What really matters is what you learn from them.
So it's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about showing that you can take responsibility, learn from those experiences, and grow as a professional.
Exactly. The video actually gives some really good advice on how to frame these kinds of questions. Instead of focusing on the negative, try to focus on what you learned from the situation and how you've applied those lessons to future challenges.
So, for example, if you were asked about a time you missed a deadline, you wouldn't just say, oh, I messed up. You would talk about what caused you to miss that deadline, what steps you took to fix things, and what you learned from it.
Right.
About time management or communication. that helped you prevent similar problems in the future.
It's all about turning a potential negative into a positive by showing that you're capable of growth and self-reflection.
Besides those tricky questions, there's just the general challenge of managing your nerves and staying confident throughout the interview. Any tips from the video on how to project confidence, even if you're feeling those butterflies in your stomach?
Well, the video emphasizes the importance of preparation. The more you research the company, practice your answers, think through potential questions and scenarios, the more confident you'll feel going in.
It's like studying for a test.
Exactly. The more you know, the less anxious you'll feel.
And even if you do feel nervous, try to reframe those nerves as excitement. So instead of thinking, I'm so scared, try to think, I'm so excited about this opportunity.
It's like that feeling you get right before giving a big presentation,
Yeah.
A little nervous energy can actually help keep you sharp and focused.
And remember, even experienced interviewers understand that candidates are going to be a little nervous. They're not expecting you to be perfectly calm and collected. They just want to see someone who can communicate well, think clearly, and show their enthusiasm, even under a little bit of pressure. Well, we've covered a lot of great tips and strategies in this deep dive on job interviews. It's been really helpful to break down these ideas, especially for those of us learning English and trying to navigate the whole interview process.
Absolutely. And remember, effective communication is key in any interview, but it's especially crucial when you're communicating in a language that's not your native tongue. Be patient with yourself, practice those answers, and focus on getting your ideas across clearly and concisely.
Don't forget the power of a positive attitude. A genuine smile and a willingness to learn can go a long way.
So true. And remember, every interview, no matter how it goes, is a learning opportunity, even if you don't get the job. Take some time to think about what went well, what you might do differently next time, and how you can continue to improve those interview skills.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into job interviews. We hope you found these tips helpful and that you feel a little bit more confident and prepared to ace your next interview, no matter what questions they throw your way.
Best of luck to everyone out there.
And remember, keep speaking smart.